Alright, now here we're shooting at the brewery. This is in 1080p at 60 frames per second, also using active steady shot mode, and using the Sony grip that I showed you earlier. As you can see, panning is considerably smoother. Hey Cosmo.
Look at that. They're gonna make it like all.
Got a couple of brews here. We're back in 1080p at 60 frames. In case you couldn't tell, the motion's a little smoother. I got some pretty sick kicks down here too. And there's Cosmo acting a fool. Alright, so just taking a little video here. I'm gonna do kind of the same thing. This is at 1080p at 60 frames. Drinking a beer here. Is it locked into my eyes?
Want me to zoom in?
Sure, zoom.
Yep. Still some big fat though.
Oh, yeah. Drinking a beer, pumpkin beer actually, even though it's August at about 90.
It's 85.
Alright, now compare this to the 4K video. We're going to take basically the same thing.
I can stop it.
Here's me walking, shooting in 1080p at 60. Here's that dumb dog. As you can see, not only the active mode, but the 60 frames really helps the stabilization. 60 frames obviously leads to much less judder and camera shake and all that kind of thing. Alright, this is shooting in much softer light. This is in our backyard. Shooting this in the full HD mode, 1080p, 60 frames per second. As you can see, the full HDR is not quite there yet with these cameras, as the sky behind us looks quite white. However, in real life, it kind of looks that way too. It's just a slight shade of blue, but these dark green colors look quite nice in the yard. The white here. And here we are in 1080p at 60 frames. As you can see, the panning is smoother. It's my Batman thing. This is fairly low light, and this is the telephoto end of the lens. It's in 4.5 aperture, and the ISO is 5000, so you're probably going to see some noise as we back out. The aperture, or the ISO rather, decreases to 1000 backed all the way out. It's now 1600 at a 2.8 aperture. And then we'll zoom back in. So as you can see, pretty smooth, good zoom. I have to zoom on the slow mode because sometimes it's easy to lose your, although the auto tracking here is really good. But here's some figures in my room. Now in 1080p at 60 frames. You can see how the camera automatically adjusts. bright sunlight down to the shutter speed adjusting exactly for these darker conditions for the colors and everything. Dynamic range optimizer, the Sony proprietary function, is active, but it's not nearly as good as HDR, but nonetheless. Now I'll show you the exact same thing, but in 60 frames a second. I'm using all the same settings, active, steady shot, and as far as autofocus tracking, using the exact same settings.